Howdy chaps, and welcome back to another fantastic episode where I have been humbled and amazed by the lovely comments I got from my last video. Kind of blew me away a little bit, so huge thanks to you guys, and I'll try and keep anything good coming. We have a package. It arrived for the coupe. It's all the parcel shelf stuff, so considering I've got all that stuff now, I am going to do the parcel shelf in this video, or at least started in this video, and I'm going to do an unboxing because we've ordered a bunch of stuff for this car from Howard Astle. Astle Designs. I believe he's also got a YouTube channel. Probably most people already know that by now. He does some lovely work, as you already know, and he's a great place to order coupe parts from. Also, I found out, because I keep my ear to the ground for most things, full coupe door skins, XA, XB, and I think on a coupe you'd probably use an XB one for an XC. So coupe door skins apparently are available now. $1,500 a pair, and I think XA ones are $1,600. But I'm keen to get my hands onto a pair. If the guy who's making them wants to send me a set, you know, so I can do a video on it, I would be most appreciative. Otherwise we're just going to keep buying them. I'd like to get my hands on the set so I can show you what they're like. I don't know what they're like, but you know, I can only go off people saying this, they exist now, which would be awesome, because doing half skins on coupe doors sucks so epically. To be able to put a whole skin on would be, and I've got about 7 or 8 coupe doors here that need to have door skins. Actually pretty much every vehicle in here needs to have one, except that coupe over here. That one doesn't need one. But we're doing the parcel shelf on the coupe, on the XC coupe that's up the back there, and walk you through that one. And we're going to open up this box and have a look at all these new parts, because we also ordered one of the more expensive reworked upper panels. So I'm keen to see what that looks like in person. I'll admit, yes, my XB is mildly turning into a table, but that's going to change very shortly with the fact that the car's actually going to have to go home, because other cars need to occupy this space. Because actually very soon we've actually got a combi van coming in, as an old VW bus for rust repairs. So the old green machine here is going to actually have to go home. I'm just going to go get my Blazer Aid and slice open this here box. Welcome to a world of tomorrow! Slice and dice. Hey, there it goes. Hello. Now what we do is move my Pepsi Max so I don't spill my lovely drink. Right. Oops. Worst unboxing video ever. I know, I might scratch the paint. Right. Still more table. There we go. Right. I'm not going to tell you how much this stuff is. Order it yourself and find out. It might seem expensive, but the amount of time saved is mind-blowing, and these parts fit extremely well. One I haven't tested yet, but I'm keen to. So this is the upright panel on a coupe, and it is so good. Yeah, custom garage. They're the mob who make them, and they are. I'd love to have the tools that they have to make these, but no words can describe how good these are. Worth every single cent you could ever pay. If you think about how many compound curves are in this thing, you got, well, first off you got a right angle and a right angle, but then of course if you look carefully at it, this one kicks up that way, this one kicks down that way, and then it kicks down that way. So that's not the most easiest shape to make in the world. Not to mention the entire thing actually has a slight curve in it. So very, very, very good piece. Highly recommend it. You will save yourself an absolute mountain of time. Now this is the lower panel that always rusts out in a Falcon coupe. I'm yet to see one that hasn't. I think I've actually, no, even the really good one had. Also another fantastic piece. I've fitted multiple sets of these and never had any issues ever. The only thing that's missing is the boot light hole. That's about all you got to put into them. Actually in hindsight, if I was going to critique these at one point, you could probably be easier if the guys who made them would just stamp the hole in. Then you wouldn't have to drill it. But I mean, if that's all you got to do, that's pretty good. I've never had any problems fitting these. Quality is the bee's knees. Now, this is interesting because this is new. Well, it's not new, but it's the more expensive one. So, as far as I'm aware, this is the Rare Spares panel reworked. Because I've noticed that Howard Astle and that they know the stuff probably as well as I do, and they know what the stuff's supposed to be like. And these panels themselves have never been, the Rare Spares ones are not, they're not quite up to scratch, mainly in the areas around these edges. On the non-tweaked ones, these are really, really round. And what they've done here is run them through, I'm assuming some kind of hammer, a special tool, which I don't have, and they've sharpened up the edges and made them kind of like what they're supposed to. So that's really good. I don't know what's involved. I'd love to actually see Howard Astle show us in a video of them reworking a few of these panels, whether or not he does them or he has someone else redo them, but that is just very, very good. Mind you though, I sometimes, if the boot, this particular piece isn't that bad, which that coupe one isn't, sometimes I will just trim off this top lip here and just put that bit in rather than the whole thing. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fit this whole piece as a, let's see how well these reworked ones fit, because I noticed they folded the edges back up here, but I'm wondering whether or not that's folded up so they can get their, I'm assuming it's some sort of power hammer or something. I assume they've folded that back up so they can actually get the machine in and out to straighten up those edges. I'd love them to actually rework the tail light panels so they're sharpened up, because they've suffered from the same problems. But what we're going to do is give it a red hot go. It does look fantastic. Like, if you're just looking at the bit they've reworked, it's really good. They're not the cheapest thing out there, but if you want to go for something that looks right, then I have to say it's not too bad. I'm actually quite impressed, I have to say. Obviously, you know, you're going to have to trim this edge back down to the right shape, but that's not their fault, that's the original panel. but it's good to see that you can get it with the square edges. When you see one that's not reworked, you'll soon understand, and they don't quite look right. And on a few of the other ones, I've had to square them up myself, and it's not the funnest thing. So that's not too shabby. I'm actually impressed. I'm very happy. So we're going to actually fit these to that XC coupe over there. I've got to get it back down the ground, and you know, because I suffer from not being excessively tall, and I'll get that down the ground and we can start comparing it to the car and chop out the garbage and slip in this stuff. It's fairly straightforward. It's almost cut and paste type stuff. There's not a huge amount of thinking because these panels are actually so good, you don't really have to worry too much. And like sometimes your speaker grill panels rust out, but that's not the biggest problem in the world, because you can cut the speaker grill area out of a sedan, because it's actually slightly bigger on a sedan than it is on a coupe. So a sedan one can be cut down to fit perfectly into a coupe. So I'm assuming that's why they haven't made the speaker grill section. But what I'm going to do is get the car down the ground and catch you up in a second. Alrighty chaps, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this original piece, and I'm going to measure this one and make sure they're the same exact width. Pretty damn close. I would have said pretty much spot on. So the next port of call is, that's not too bad. I would have actually said that was very, very good. Now all we have to do is trim out all this garbage in between the pillars and have at putting the new stuff in. Probably don't need to brace it because there's quite a lot of car holding itself together in this area. I would suggest though, before you weld the replacement top panel in for good, that you test fit the boot lid. Make sure it's going to fit the hole. Make sure you've got a good 5mm gap all the way around. So that is good. So I'm just going to trim this stuff out and we'll get the other stuff ready to fill the hole. It's not going to be too bad. I mean, I've got to do a small section here on the speaker grill, but that's about it. I mean, there is a bit of an area where you have to be a bit careful. You can't just go cutting it willy-nilly, because the top of the boot hinges are actually welded to the bottom panel of the parcel shelf. So you have to be a little bit careful, but you can cut most of it out without any issues. Alrighty, so once you've gingerly chopped out the puzzle shelf, you should be right to keep going. What I did here was I measured, well I didn't measure, I just marked myself a little line so that I know where the edge of the parcel shelf upper sits. And actually what I'm gonna do when it's go time is I'm gonna actually measure the gaps and stuff on that particular coupe there, because believe it or not, even though that car is rusty, that car is super original and has never been tweaked. It's had hardly any damage on it. It's super nice and super straight, just really rusty. So I'll get my final measurements of that. But if you don't feel confident and you don't have something to work off afterwards, I would suggest, because these are a little bit flimsy, I would suggest put a brace in somewhere, but sort of don't get it in your own way, if that makes sense, because you've still got to be able to work around it. And right here is I've trimmed it all off because hard to see, but we've got a row of spot welds just here, because this corner piece here is actually, get off, welded to this piece here. It also goes under here, so there's some here, and the boot hinge itself, which is sort of here, also welds to it. So there's a stack of welds just in this area, and you will have a seam that goes along there that's got, a bit hard to see, but a plastic wheel bring them up. Get out of there. And yeah, the factory don't build these cars with the world's greatest amount of care. That is factory, and it's all bent and twisted. So yeah, now we've cleaned all that up, trimmed it up. This actually isn't that bad. I'm actually going to make sure I keep that piece, because that's the boot light hole that I was talking about earlier. The rest of it's toasted, but I mean, if you were clever you could fix it, but honestly the piece you can buy is just way faster and makes so much more sense. This side's actually pretty good in here. I've just got a rough cut it so I can just pick off the little bits a lot easier. I was also going to say, because a few people have mentioned they don't have Facebook to look at the Graham's Restorations Facebook page, I'd like to mention you don't actually need a Facebook account to actually see it. You type in Graham's Restorations into Google and you can look at it that way. Probably every 5 minutes it will ask you to sign up to Facebook, but you don't actually need a Facebook account to actually see it, because that's actually the same way my parents, who don't have Facebook either, see the updates. They just type it into Google. Okay, so this is going to be a bit interesting to film, so I'm going to just do this quickly off camera, but I'll catch you up before I slip it out. I'm going to clean it all up, and I'm going to drill out, well, best I can, maybe even belt sand them out. These spot welds through here, there will be an absolute monumental amount of them. Some through here, and we'll slip this out. So I'll do that, and then I'll catch you up in a second. So what I've done is, I just realised I better show you some stuff. I have a right angle die grinder. You don't necessarily need a snap-on one, and perfectly honest, if you ask my humble opinion, I do not think their stuff is worth the cost that it is, but they have some brilliant payment plans, and that's something I bought ages ago when I was a young apprentice. But you can use a cheap die grinder. The stuff these days you can get is actually very, very good for the price. These are like, they call them stripper discs or coral wheels or something like that. This is the slightly less aggressive one. I'm waiting for a slightly better one, but that's what I use to find all the welds. So realistically they normally should be about 1.5 inches apart, but of course, because these cars were built by people, the spot welds are quite literally anywhere they want to be. So they're there. When you're encountering them in rust, I'll admit they are hard to find, but you can use a mini belt sander on a mini sander or lynching belt to get them out if you can't find them. So I've actually got to drill out this one and this one and slice through here so I can get that off, so I can actually keep cleaning through there to make sure there's no welds under this strip here. Alternatively, if you wanted to trim it out real quick, you could just go straight up there and straight along this edge and then just pick them off as you go. Sometimes that's the much faster way, and then you can just chisel off little bits, but so far it's not too bad. I expected there to be more welds there, but only 3, so it's luck of the draw really when it comes to old cars. That's why I actually like modern cars. You will encounter the same spot welds every time, whereas this stuff is, you could get 1 or 2, or you could get 10 in the one area. And actually that's why I don't like drilling out old car spot welds, because usually there's heaps of them in an area where there should only be 1 or 2. But so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in an area where 4 would be fine. So I'm just going to keep doing that, but I thought I'd show you that's a fairly effective way, and they're very good at getting rust off. So that's how I clean them up, so I can see them, and then I'll run them over with a spot weld drill bit. Thought I'd just add that in because I'm trying to get back into the swing of doing relatively detailed rust repair videos, and I wanted to show you some of the equipment that I use. I have actually killed quite a few snap-on tools too, so I mean, people go, oh, did you maintain them? I go, yes, of course I did, but if you use them as much as I do, even good quality stuff does eventually die. So I'm going to keep cleaning and start drilling. Right, so I'm getting some of the panels prepped up. I've got my copper spray on, I've cleaned it up. I'm going to actually spray this surface, which nothing welds to and is normally exposed on the inside of the panel. I'm going to spray that with some sort of anti-rust paint, and obviously I'll mask up the copper spray and paint that bit black, let that dry, and then that's been going on. So I come over here, I've also been getting all this separated. You've got to keep them separated. I peeled that up, as you would see, drilled out all these spot welds. Occasionally you do miss a couple, but that's why you have chisels. But if you get them all accurately, it should just pop apart. One thing I've got is I've got this chisel. You can buy them, I believe. I've got a crash shop supplier that comes to me, but you could probably get it on eBay. Once upon a time it did have a blue band through here, but it's got a blade on the side of it, and it used to be about on a 1.5 inches longer than that, because it's after years of using it. But it's really good because you can, once you hammer it in somewhere, because it's got a blade on the side, you can tap it along, and it's very good for separating spot welds. So that's just another handy hint. Thin chisels, always useful, and as sharp as possible. So I'm just going to keep cleaning and keep drilling, and up that side might be a bit fun because of how much rust is up there, but hopefully once it's done this bit should just slip out, and then we can just clean up all the undersides, probably replace a piece over there, and see how special that area, that area is. I suspect this video might be in a couple of parts, mainly because I just want to get back into the swing of things and get some videos out for you guys to enjoy. But we are making progress. Alrighty chaps, I've got that piece out, and yes, it did put up a bit of a fight towards the end. Just because, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 spot welds in a place where probably 8 would have been fine. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would have been fine. And just emphasises my hatred for drilling out spot welds in old cars. But we're going to save this piece. This bit's not coming out. This is where it was all butchered. There was like 3 welds in one little spot, so I'll fix that up, hammer out that lump that's in there. This side was okay, but you can just see how many welds are in there, and actually how flimsy these boot hinges are when there's nothing holding them up. Actually, these are the most convoluted boot hinges design I've ever seen in my life. I'll get that untangled in a minute, but just make sure when you put them back in, you put them back in the right spot. I mean, they'll pretty much be where they were. It's amazing that's sitting slightly crooked, but that's how that was put in. Yeah, I've seen these things all over the shop. This one's straight, but that one's wonky. But obviously this side didn't give up a fight. And obviously we've got a lump here, a crooked hinge here. You know, it's just, they're not built particularly well. So I've also got to repair this piece here. There's a little bit in there, and clean the top off this and pick off the last couple of bits of garbage. Yes, but we're getting there. What I might do, because I'm not quite sure how much footage I've got at the moment, I'm actually going to stop this part of the video here and catch it up on the next one. But in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll just clean up all the junk off the tops of here and across here and all there, and then in the next video we'll do some actual rust repair. But what I'll do in the meantime is actually just clean up all the surfaces and get the last bits of junk out of the way. I mean, you can see how wonky the cars are assembled. Like that quarter panel is off by, you know, probably 8mm. Should be further in realistically, or that panel there should be further out. They're just all over the shop. I hope you've enjoyed a foray into La Rust again. Be gone, and we'll catch you up on the next one, where we will continue pretty much where we left off. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and see you around.